Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description and every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about the yellow episode of Netflix's Kaleidoscope entitled 6 Weeks Before the Heist. So really quick up top, I already noticed that the episodes transition out of the episode title's color. So like my last one was green. It transitioned out of green into a kaleidoscope, kind of like just a screen, and then it transitions into the new color for the new episode. So I don't know if that's gonna matter or not, but that's just something I noticed as it transitioned, because I didn't plan on like backing out and choosing a different episode. I was just gonna let it play. So that's how it plays if you're not choosing an episode and you're just kind of letting it run. That's what happens. But this is my second episode, and in this episode we see the crew being assembled, which I don't know. I feel like you do that a little farther than 6 weeks out, but whatever. I'm not a criminal, so I don't know how you organize bank heist. But this episode actually opens with a mini heist where we see Hannah, who is Leo's daughter. She essentially runs this long game on this woman and robs her as a way of showing her and her company's boss that their security system is flawed, and it also is a way of selling them on their own security system and the vault that they've recently built. So it's kind of a slick play to win business. I feel like if you steal from me, if you're a security person and you steal from me, and you're like, hey, not only did I steal from you, but I can offer you something where no one else can do what I just did, pretty good sell. So Stan, the prison cook who I met in the previous episode, I remember I have to say I met because I can't say we met. We weren't introduced to anybody. We didn't meet Stan in the last episode. I met Stan. You might have met Stan in this episode, for all I know. But Stan, the prison cook from the last episode that I watched, is free, and he's living with a wife or a girlfriend, I don't know, a woman who appears to be around his age, and his mother. He did say in again what was my last episode, which was the green one. I don't know which one that was for you guys, but he had 6 months until he got out. So that was 7 years ago, minus 6 weeks. So that all seems to add up. He's running like a deli. It's called like a ham shop or something like that, and they live in the same building. Like their house is like connected to it. Like they didn't even look like they had to go up steps. Like they could leave out of it and they're just like in the house. I don't know, whatever. Leo comes to visit him at the deli, and I'm immediately shocked at how his Parkinson's has progressed exactly 0.00% in all of this time, this 7 years minus 6 weeks. In all this time, his Parkinson's has not gotten 0.001% worse. But Leo comes to him with a job. He wants to rob these three individuals who are collectively referred to as the triplets for $7 billion in unregistered bonds. There's something like after 1982, bonds had to be registered, but anything before that kind of was like grandfathered into being unregistered. So this is like essentially money that's not tied to anyone, and these three individuals have $7 billion in it collectively. I also noticed in this scene that Stan called Leo, and like that probably doesn't seem weird, but he didn't take the Leo name until after he escaped from prison, so Stan should know him as Ray. But I'm not a writer. I was just noticing stuff. But I mean, him and Leo could have been in touch during this time. So I mean, maybe is going with Leo now, and Stan knows that because they haven't been out of touch. I'm just assuming they've been out of touch because I'm watching random episodes of television that take place at random times, and there's not a lot of character growth or progress here because they don't have time for that. But I'm also noting at this point that it's wild that Leo's daughter works at that company that they want to rob when her dad is presumably a wanted felon right now. I guess this security company doesn't do background checks. Anyway, we also learned that Judy and Bob's the obnoxious guy played by Jai Courtney, that they're now married. The two that we saw in the Green episode that visited Stan in the prison. There's a really bad scene. And again, I touched on this in the Green episode, and I'm going to reiterate it now. Humor continues to fall flat on this show. Like, I don't know why they're even going for it. It doesn't really fit tonally, but they're really pushing humor at times. And they have this weird scene where Judy's dressed up in some disguise, and I guess Bob has been arrested for something, and they have Bob in a lineup, and she's trying to figure out who is the person that committed this crime or whatever. They don't even explain what this is or the purpose of it. It's just like a random gag that they insert into the episode that doesn't make any sense and isn't funny, but she says she heard them say I'm a fucking moron, so she makes each person say that, and then she makes him say it with a whole bunch more. And it's like she's not even the cop. Like no one would let the person who's there to question talk to the people who they've arrested. But I mean, I'm not a writer. So Stan and Leo want to recruit Judy as their chemist for the heist, but Bob invites himself into the crew because he plans on working on safes. Back to Hannah, we also learned that Hannah's pregnant. And I just realized another interesting thing about this show is that I have to understand that we didn't all learn that. I learned that. We learned that. I learned that. You may have already learned that because you might have already seen something in a previous episode that alerted you to that. I'm just finding out that Hannah's pregnant. So I learned that Hannah's pregnant in this episode. But she gets her sister a job in the mailroom, and that to me felt very foreshadowy. Like I don't know how, but I feel like that's gonna matter for some reason because the sister seems very aloof, like she doesn't really know how to get a job. And then with Hannah being the daughter of someone who's such a wise criminal and who plans for everything well in advance, it almost feels like the sister is like a placement rather than like a here, let me help you get a job. Feels like I'm gonna place her in here so I can use her for a purpose later. Again, could be me reading too much into it, but I don't know, that stood out to me. So Hannah ends up being promoted to senior vice president after we see at the end of the episode that she essentially set up the previous senior vice president to be fired. Meanwhile, the crew is assembled, and they plan to rob this diamond place to come up with $300K to buy the supplies they need to do the ultimate heist of the vault. This robbery's going well until Bob's dumbass insists on grabbing one specific item, and he ends up getting shot in the hand for it. And I wondered in this moment, too, after this happened, if Bob would, leave some blood on the scene that would, incriminate him, or if that's going to come up later. That's something that I noted, the second thing I noted. The first thing was the sister working in the mailroom. The second thing was Bob's hand being shot. I'm figuring he's got to leave some form of DNA in that scene that could essentially come back to bite him later. But of note in this episode, Ava, who I questioned in the Green episode, I'm like, is Leo's lawyer / co-criminal, whatever she is, but she gets recruited in this episode too. And I've struggled up to this point to fully grasp and understand the nature of Leo's relationship with Ava, and I think too that is a flaw in the design structure here, because now I'm 2 episodes in, and I don't really understand fully their relationship. I understand that there is one, but I don't understand, is she his lawyer? Is she a lawyer? I just don't understand how a lawyer is this closely affiliated with not just a criminal, but again, I'm assuming a felon who is on the run that no one knows where he is. I mean, they probably aren't looking for him because he faked his death, but still, he's got to be constantly hiding. I don't know how she can be so closely affiliated with him. But again, like I said, that's a flaw in the structure, because I feel like if, this was something where they had time to flesh that out, I would figure that out. But they have, they probably have little bits and pieces of that relationship spread out throughout these 8 episodes, and I have no way of knowing. Maybe I see some of these episodes later on, and it makes more sense to me because I have a better understanding of who Ava is and what her relationship with Leo is. But since I don't have that right now, I'm just wondering, like, I don't even really understand who this lady is or what she's bringing to this job. Like, there's just so many things that I feel like matter for these characters and that matter for me to understand what's happening in this show that I don't get because of this structure and this desire to stick to, like, the randomization of it. So that's something I'm noting again after episode 2. And then lastly, they also recruit this kid RJ to do the driving. He likes to bang on stuff. I don't know what difference that's gonna make. I don't know if they're using that just for like a gag, like, oh, this will be funny, we'll have him bang on stuff. But I don't know. He bangs on stuff. I do have a couple of quick thoughts before I close this one out. There was an interesting interesting moment between Ava and RJ. She asked him if he can drive. She's like, can you drive? He's like, yeah, I can drive. Like, of course. Like, what are you talking about? And then she goes, can you drive? And I'm like, you want to emphasize drive? Like, you want to emphasize the question? Like, you don't turn up the accent. Like, she just said, can you drive the first time? But he's like, yeah. She's like, no, he doesn't get what I'm saying. He doesn't understand that I mean, like, criminal driving. Let me really emphasize it for him. Can you drive? Like, what? Like, you gonna say, can you drive? That doesn't make it any more, it doesn't make it any easier to understand. I just thought that was funny. Like, if I want to emphasize this, let me just turn up my accent. They also had another unfunny gag where, it says RJ Jr. on his name tag, and he's like, so your name is Roy Jr. Jr.? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. No one's going to talk about how that doesn't make any sense, or it's also not funny, so I don't know. I don't know what the point of that gag was. And then there's another weird moment. I don't know why this line stood out to me, but Ava says to Judy, I guess she's referring to Roger, says when he goes high tech, we go low. What's that even mean? That just sounds like a random heisty sentence that they thought fit into this scene, but it really stuck out like a sore thumb to me because I'm like, what is like, what when he has like, real like digital hacking data, when he goes high with his ability to hack your phone, you go low by what? Tying his shoelaces together? Like, is that low tech? Like, I don't even know what that means, but I feel like somebody wrote that, was like, that sounds like that fits in a heist show. Let's just say that. And then lastly, Bob is a super, super obnoxious character. It's like, how does Jai Courtney continue to get work? How does Jai Courtney continue to get work when all he does is play the exact same character in everything that he's in, and it's like, okay, we need a big, obnoxious meathead who doesn't know anything. Is Jai Courtney available? Yeah, let's get him. Oh, we can't afford Tom Hardy? Is Jai Courtney available? Yeah, let's get him. Like, he is so bad, and I just don't understand how he keeps getting work. His character is obnoxious. It's the same character he's played in everything else, like Suicide Squad, he's just terrible. I don't understand why they put him in this. But that's all I got for this. I can't even say episode 2. Episode Yellow, I think this one was. I'm going to knock out my 3rd episode, and I'll be back shortly. Peace.